All right, the Eagles are on the ball as they have hired yet another coach. We'll talk about who this guy is and what it means for the development of Jalen Hurts and the offense moving forward. What is up, everybody? RB here. Welcome into A to Z Philly. You know the drill. Hit the like button on this show if you enjoy the content. Subscribe, ring the bell. Don't miss any of the coverage. We will be breaking it down all Eagles off season. We'll have a lot of stuff coming up related to the draft, free agency, trades, etc. So be sure to stay tapped in. But over the weekend, we got some breaking news. That's right. The Eagles have hired yet another coach. I like the fact that they are representing timeliness. I like that they're taking that into consideration. Usually they are the last team to go out and draw all these guys in. Now they're one of the first, right? There's a lot of vacancies and those are getting filled up, but the Eagles are out there and they are making moves. So we will talk about this and a whole bunch more. But before we jump into it, a shout out to our sponsor of today's show, BetMGM. The biggest winner in the big game this year could be you, thanks to BetMGM. The king of sportsbooks is offering new customers a chance to score $158 in bonus bets instantly. That's right, instantly. Just download the BetMGM app today and sign up with the bonus code ATOZPA200 and place a $5 moneyline wager on the big game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of your wager's outcome. So don't miss your opportunity to cross the goal line on the money line as pro football's top teams clash for the championship. Bring the big game excitement to you this year with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. All right, let's talk about what the Eagles did over the weekend because we kind of expected it would happen. We had an urge, a feeling, but now it's official. The Eagles have hired Doug Nussmeier as their quarterbacks coach per Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. And this name was coming up a lot. It was popping up in recent convos because he was most recently with Kellen Moore, both in Dallas and Los Angeles. So it only makes sense for him to end up coming to Philadelphia. And in terms of Doug Nussmeier, Bird Blitz here on Twitter says that it is a big hire for Kellen Moore and the Eagles. He has been Moore's coach since 2020 in terms of quarterback coach, and he's been coaching quarterbacks since 2001 with stops in the NFL, NCAA, and CFL. And I was actually looking more into his history, and damn, he actually started coaching quarterbacks back in 2008. And that was when he became an offensive coordinator. He had a little bit of experience before with the Rams in the NFL, but 2008 is when he really stepped up and started to take over that offensive coordinator role in college. He was with Fresno State, Washington, Alabama, Michigan, Florida, some of the top offensive programs. And that went from 2008 all the way up until 2017. He was a quarterback coach back in 2001, but very beginner-like. However, in 2018 is when he started to take another jump, and he went back into the NFL as a tight ends coach for a year with the Cowboys. And then he was elevated to the quarterback coach for a couple years, obviously coached, with Dak. And then in 2023, this past year, went with Kellen Moore to the LA Chargers, and now he's riding the coattails again here in Philadelphia. Do we know if Doug Nussmeier is going to be a good quarterbacks coach? No, just like we didn't know about Brian Johnson, and I'm still amazed at how Brian Johnson seemed to not really understand much under Shane Steichen, so hopefully Doug Nussmeier has a better connection with Kellen Moore. But at the end of the day, I think what this speaks to is the fact that the Eagles are once again prioritizing experience over just, the new upcoming guy or the flashy name or the flashy profile. No, this guy has been coaching quarterbacks for 20 years, okay? He understands, how to go through simple progressions, how to build and help develop a quarterback and the key skills that it takes to help them get to the next level. And we've seen those already from Jalen Hurts, but they obviously escaped him this past season due to a lot of different factors, right? Not just one, but obviously coaching was a huge part of it. And it's not like he's going to be the offensive coordinator here or anything, but I do believe, I'm a firm believer, you need a good quarterbacks coach, a guy you can trust and rely on. So it'll be interesting to see how they build that relationship. But again, with every hire so far, whether it's Doug Nussmeier or Kellen Moore or Vic Fangio, it all comes out that these guys have a lot more experience. So they will be able to bring their own philosophy. We heard Nick Sirianni talk about that in his press conference at the end of the season. they need to come in and bring their system, right? Don't let Nick kind of intertwine too much and start putting his footprints all over everything. No, let these new coaches come in and do what it takes to help take these guys to the next level. And I'm really excited about the staff they are building right now. We'll probably get some more signings moving forward as we go. But I just want to look at one more different area before we end this one off. And Reuben Frank put out an article on NBC Philadelphia, and he was talking about a couple different things. But number one, I thought this was interesting. A Jalen Hurts stat of the week. He said, even though Hurts wasn't a starter till the end of his rookie year, keep that in mind, he still has the most wins as a starter by an Eagles quarterback in his first 4 years with 34 wins, more than Wentz, more than McNabb. So even with that shortened first season, you know, he's still out here making history in terms of the Eagles. And even with a bad year, and we know bad seasons happen, even though that was just atrocious the way it collapsed, we still have to believe in this guy moving forward. And he deserves, obviously, another shot and many more. And hopefully these new coaches can get more out of him. But what do you think as Eagle fans is the number one priority this offseason? I think getting some game changers is going to be huge. And what I mean by that is, you know, when it comes to the middle of the defense in the linebacker role, and Rube talked about it here, that's going to be a huge area to address because the Eagles lost their linebackers after the Super Bowl. And this year they try to, you know, kind of plug it in with Morrow and Cunningham and other guys and Leonard. And, you know, it just didn't work out. Like, they need new blood. They need it to be fresh. And for once, if they could go out and actually prioritize it in the draft, I think that would be huge. And Rube says here, if you're looking for a complete overhaul at linebacker, something Howie Roseman said last week was a little concerning, maybe a lot concerning. He spoke of the Eagles' belief in Nakobe Dean. He's under contract. He was a third-round pick. He was never really healthy last year, and there's no reason not to give him a shot to compete for a starting job. But he also spoke highly of Zach Cunningham, whose play was barely adequate after signing a couple weeks into camp. So he kind of just talks here about how the Eagles may run it back with that current core. And I hope this is not the Eagles' philosophy, because usually this is why teams fall off a bit after the Super Bowl, because they think they're so good and they think everything's going to just fall right into place. The dominoes will fall perfectly and they'll make a trip back to the big game, right? And they'll go back and all these different players will be fine. They'll fit into line. But the difference is that year to year, you know, things change. Guys' play changes. Like, guys get older. They get more injuries. There's never the same complete core as there was in the previous year. And that's what you have to take into consideration. That's why you always have to find ways to get better. We thought the Eagles did that last year. Maybe they did talent-wise, but they still had a lot of holes come week 3, week 5, week 7, week 11. And linebacker was one of the biggest holes. It has not been addressed properly for a long time, and the Eagles have to figure it out. He even says here that starting James Bradbury in the wild card game instead of Keely Ringo was a huge mistake. And yeah, like, you have to start relying on some of these younger players, but to rely on them, you have to draft better. And that's why I'm saying the Eagles are going to need to draft some young defensive playmakers, guys that can be long-term starters and make potential, Pro Bowls and really just make a difference on this defense, because the Slays of the world, and obviously we saw Bradbury, but Fletch, if he comes back, BG, all these guys, like, they're not going to be here forever. You have to really start molding the next look of this team. And I think it'll really speak to Howie Roseman, how he can adjust this offseason, just like he did a couple years ago, to get this Eagles team back into contention for winning it all. So we'll have to see how it plays out, man. But I like the hire today or yesterday, and I just like the fact that the Eagles are prioritizing experience, and they're trying to find a way to mold that new identity back, into something superior that will get them to where they want to go. So we'll see how it plays out. Give me your thoughts down below in the comments section. As always, appreciate you for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.